Hello and welcome to another special edition of Newsmakers. We're looking at services at Missouri Southern, and today we're looking from the student perspective on housing and activities. Joining me are Josh Doak and Craig Gullett. Thank you both for being here today. And I know it's been over a month now since everything's taken place. Josh, I think I'll start off with you because you work with the students on the housing side. Your staff and everybody really had to act pretty quickly when the rules and the orders and everything changed and suddenly people left campus.
It was a very quick turn of events. Of course, we found out about the same time students found out about the initial transition to online. And at that time, the plan was we're going to try to, students could stay on campus if they want to or go home, purely optional. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the decision came about a week and a half later that as we discovered it was getting more severe, that we felt it was necessary to disperse the students so we didn't possibly risk anything spreading here on campus. So we had a lot, as everyone knows, that the common word is fluid. A lot of change and quickness, so there's a lot of juggling on our end, especially communicating with students when we're finding out at the same time they are. So, interesting, fun time.
So you had a lot of students who actually had to pack up and go back home. I mean, you had full housing at the time.
Yeah, and initially the first announcement, we were like I said, we had obviously a full load of students. We had several hundred that elected to do like the option, we call it like an optional leave. Like if you want to, we were working with the students, we would give them a prorate refund because we weren't going to hold their money because we're not money hungry. And then when the initial second wave came, it was another, again, I call it another juggling act, helping the students understand why it was made and whatnot, going through it. And then for the students, we obviously know there's some students that can't go home. We have, especially international students, that their borders are closed, so they couldn't go home. So we had to try to accommodate them, which we have been able to.
Now, Craig, on the student activity side, you have clubs and organizations, the recreation center, everything pretty much came to a sudden halt as well.
Right. The first thing we kind of did was just make sure we communicated with all of our external vendors and let them know what was happening. And luckily, all of them have been very accommodating because, multiple schools across the country have done the same thing with them. So our bigger events that we were really looking forward to, we had a murder mystery coming up the week after spring break that we had 200 tickets sold to that we were real excited about. Of course, that one was canceled, but we got that moved to around Halloween time next year. And so I know students were really looking forward to that. And that's kind of what we tried to do is transition our spring activities over to fall and then include them with our kind of traditional fall lineup. So we should be jam-packed when students come back on campus.
So you have a lot of opportunities in the fall, that things are a carryover from the spring that you were not able to complete.
Right. And we've also kind of used this time to communicate with our registered student organizations. We've had virtual CAB meetings. I know our Greek Life, they're all meeting virtually. We've also communicated with our registered student organizations about kind of different processes and stuff they can do online through a new platform we've been working on rolling out this year.
So for those student organizations, they're still able to, like we're doing now through virtual communications, computers, being able to keep in touch with their members and maybe not necessarily do all the activities, but they're still having opportunities to get involved.
Right. Because especially with our Greek Life, they're working on ramping up for recruitment and things like that in the fall. So it's very important for them to communicate. And I was kind of talking to them a few years ago, or a couple of weeks ago, if this would have happened, a few years ago, like 10 years ago, it would have been much more difficult. But luckily with technology, we're able to have these online Zoom calls and still communicate with each other.
Right. Of course, technology playing a great role. Josh, I'm going to go back to you because a lot of people might be curious. You have students, you say currently, still living in housing on campus. Tell me a little bit about that situation, perhaps how you have them situated. Is food available? Some of those questions people might have, if you stay on campus.
That was a good question. I think a lot of people think we literally kicked every student off campus, and that's not the situation at all. Initially, we left students in their rooms they were in at the end of the semester, but once we had a better idea who actually had to stay, we did about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, consolidate everyone to what's called our quad style housing. One, we want to reduce the amount of contact students had. And some of our buildings there, we call it traditional style, where there may be a community bathroom. We don't want them, all sharing the same facility. We put them in the quads that are more privatized, where you have individual bedroom, individual bathroom, laundry facility within their actual living space, just to help them stay consolidated if they needed to and avoid that contact. But we've done a good job getting everyone moved. Everyone, I said, from my standpoint, the students, I feel like everyone feels comfortable where they are. The dining hall has continued to be open the whole time. We don't have offer as extensive of meal options, meaning like they used to have the option of eating in the Lion's Den over in Billings later, using the coffee shop in the library. Obviously, those aren't options anymore, but the primary dining hall has continued to be open for brunch and dinner each day for students to go do a takeout meal. So it's kind of like if you ask for a doggy bag or to-go box, that's what they take in the dining hall instead of sitting down, because obviously you can't have groups gathering. So that's been a change, but food service did a good job in that regard as well. So we did a good job taking care of them on that front. So most students feel.
So they are able to stay there. And those, you mentioned the quads for people who aren't familiar in the community, just basically that's apartment style living, but yet you say they have their own individual bathrooms, and they can shut the door and share just the common space, the kitchen and the dining or the living room area.
Yeah, the full layout of a normal quad is up to 4 people can live in them. We're only putting a max of 2 or spread apart, away apart, but each resident in there has an individual bedroom with a door, individual bathroom. That's only for them. They have a full kitchen, washer and dryer in their living space, and a common living room area.
So that availability to have that full kitchen also probably helps some of the students too. They can go to the dining hall and pick up the food and bring it out like you would do carry out for a restaurant. But yes, if they want to stay and cook breakfast or something, they can still do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. And we did a good job with the students, especially the ones we required. Some were already in the quads, but some we forced to move from a different location. We didn't upcharge them at all, because obviously it wasn't their decision, but hopefully they're happy because they get more amenities, especially if they're style initially. And
they are still on campus, so they still have the Wi-Fi access, what they need to do as a student for the internet connections for studying now.
Yeah, no, have full Wi-Fi access. Obviously, they have amenity inside the room. Swank is a movie streaming service that we subscribe to. They still have access to during this time, so there's plenty of entertainment options for them as well, in addition to probably their personal account they have. They have Netflix or Hulu, whatever it may be.
Right. Well, Craig, going back to the student activities, you mentioned Greek life and the fraternities and sororities. You don't necessarily have houses where people live on campus, but those groups meet on a regular basis. They socialize. What have you heard back from social groups like that where they're trying to, keep in touch with their friends, their brothers and their sisters and so forth?
Right. Well, of course, with all of this, it's been an adjustment, but they're probably more well adjusted to the technology than we may be. So I don't know that they really skipped a beat a whole lot. With fraternity and sorority life, one of the biggest things they do each year is each fall or spring, they have a Greek week, usually in April. And so, of course, that got canceled. And so they still wanted to do something and still have that kind of camaraderie building. So they had a online Greek week, and they just had different challenges for each day of the week. So one example is they did a Greek bingo that had different kind of categories that you would mark off, like, do you have I'm trying to think of an example here. Did you go through the recruitment process? Do you have a big or a little, that type of thing? They shared, one day was like, share a Greek craft that you may have done that's affiliated with your chapter. So just kind of different things to break up the monotony of the day.
So they're able, of course, you mentioned the students today in the palm of their hands, they have their phone all the time for communication. So this is just another means of them being able to communicate through the Zoom meetings and so forth that they have.
Correct, yeah.
Tying that together. So Josh, with the apartment living on campus, we hear a lot about, for people who are working at home and so forth, the importance of getting out and getting fresh air. Those facilities are something where people can step outdoors and they can, get that walk around, get some exercise as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, like the main entry door, it's almost like you could use like a hotel where the door goes out to outdoors. It's not like an indoor corridor space like normal. What's great about campus living is the students want to get out. Obviously, they walk around campus. When I work on campus 2 days a week, I run the cross country course, run around campus during my lunch hour. Especially with some of these really nice days in the 70s, it's great to get out. So students have the ability to get out. It's not just an ability where they're enclosed and see no daylight.
So getting that, and you mentioned the exercise, and I want to go back to Craig on that, because that's something we've heard as far as exercise importance. And I know the university has an active wellness program for faculty and staff, but also you encourage the students to keep active. So Craig, share some of the things that you're doing to try to encourage people to, keep that part of their life active as well.
Right. For faculty and staff, we do walking challenges, usually 3 a year. And so this actually fell within kind of our shutdown period. So we encourage everyone to do walking challenges, and they can do get different prizes for participation. As far as the students go, I believe our recreation director, Stephen Binfield, has worked on getting some like online resources that he sent out to students. Because a lot of traditional apps that you have to pay for, like exercise fitness apps, they are currently running free promotions through usually the end of April or even into May, things like Peloton and YMCA 360 and things like that.
So continuing to keep active, or trying to encourage people to keep active and keep in shape and working together.
Right. Yeah.
We're also supporting marriages this time as well. or wait, proposals.
Yes. If you haven't found the video of one of our students proposing to his now fiance, definitely look that up on our social media. It was a great thing that our university came together and provided that opportunity for them.
You mentioned the fact that, check out the video. The university has a very active Facebook site. They're putting a lot on the different social media as well as the website. Is that helping both of you in your areas as far as with the communication, what's going on as well? Are people able to see that?
Yeah, absolutely. So our CAB members decided once we found out what was going on, we wanted to do something to, give students the opportunity to, to have some fun throughout the day. Kind of break up the monotony of class a little bit and that change. So every day on our Facebook page, we post an online challenge, and some of those, and then they're all pretty simple. Some of the things are post your favorite movie trailer, show us a picture of your dog. Today's was have you ever met a celebrity and share a picture of them, that type of thing. And I'll randomly select out of those, everyone that comments, I'll randomly select 5 winners for a $10 Amazon gift card. And then we also do online trivia through Kahoot every day throughout the week. We just do a variety of different categories each day. We've done Disney, we've done Friends, we've done superhero trivia, Netflix, we're doing Shrek and sports trivia coming up, so all kinds of different stuff. And the top 5 of each trivia, they get an Amazon gift card as well. So this hopefully this is bringing a little brightness to their days during these stressful times.
Have you seen an increase or a trend in participation in that as we've gone along over the last few weeks?
Yeah, it's been solid. It's actually been pretty even from the beginning. Our most popular challenge was when we asked everyone to share a picture of their pets. Everyone loves their pets. And so that was definitely a good one. Lots of interactions on that.
Well, Josh, I'm sure some people might be curious as far as your reaction where you've heard from the students who are perhaps still there on campus, what this has meant for them to be able to have a place to call home during this interim, what's happening. Some of their stories or their stories.
Well, I don't see them very often because they stay in their room a lot. Unfortunately, me only on campus until the week. But I've ran into a few of them, and they don't say much, but they're happy they feel they're in a safe environment. I think that's probably what's key for them is that they have a place they didn't feel like they had to be kicked out because I mentioned earlier, I guess perception people thought they had to leave. Like, well, no, we're gonna take care of you if you don't have any place to go. It's like that was the biggest relief for most of them. And then for some, the other part of it is some students left during spring break, not expecting to come back and left their stuff. And a lot of them are happy that we're allowing them up till this next month to get their personal belongings out of the room.
So they may still have their bedding and everything there that they left when they went for break, or whatever's in their room, they can still come back and get it.
Some may have been put on lockdown while they're during spring break or didn't feel safe coming back at the time. So we made sure to communicate with all of them like, hey, your stuff's safe to the end of the semester. And if anything's, and we're communicating with them again, letting them know, hey, this help us coordinate when you pick up your belongings.
Right. Now, what about looking ahead to next year? I know both of your areas play a big role in talking about recruiting new students coming in. I did an interview with the admissions area and talking about, how they're dealing with virtual tours, trying to reach out to students. Josh, how are you handling it when maybe prospective students have questions about, well, tell me about the housing on campus?
Well, as far as communication, we're still very active on all our outlets. I mean, like my phone's for me now, or we're prompt on emails or any communications we get from students. as far as we don't have any video tours of our residence halls, but as far as online, we did 360-degree imaging of each style, so students could see that through our website, so they can see it. Obviously, we're still taking contract applications for next semester. Encourage people to help them get and select where they want to live. So not much has changed on that front for us. The only thing I think will be different will be with Southern Welcome the first couple of months, this May and June timeframe, for the ones that the Southern Welcomes that are not on campus. Those students may have more questions or via email or other options than just in person. Like, we're so used to doing everything face to face.
Right. For people who aren't familiar, Southern Welcome's the time when the incoming freshmen come in and find out all the how-tos for Southern, from enrolling to getting to know the campus. Doing that. How about on the student activity side of that? For the students, for our new students wanting to come in, what do you have for me at Southern?
Yeah. So the President's Council hasn't set out their regulations yet, but we're hoping to have a pretty usual normal semester. There may be some more social distancing guidelines incorporated into our events. But we're really planning on bringing our usual hypnotists, our comedians, doing our movie series. We just watched all of the movie trailers that are supposed to be for movies that are going to be available to us in the fall. And that's actually been a little bit of a challenge too, because, all those dates are kind of in flux now because movie theaters are shut, so they're changing movie date release times, and so it's another little extra thing to work through. But we'll have a good calendar of movies put together. Also, through this process, in the past we haven't really done anything virtual, but through doing our online challenges and our virtual trivias, I've gotten a couple comments from our truly distance learning students that don't come on the campus at all, saying how they appreciate us doing this and we should look at doing it in the fall. So we're definitely not going to abandon the virtual front now that we've seen that there's a need and a want for it.
You brought up a good point that there are a number of students who don't really come to campus because they're distance students, but they're still Missouri Southern students. So this allows them to become an active part of the community through those type of virtual presentations.
Right.
Tying all that together. Well, as you look to the future, obviously we're coming into May, heading into summer. There's still a lot of questions to be answered, but what message would you like most to get out to the students for the future, looking ahead for that? Josh, I'll start off with you. If someone were to ask you, what's the main message you would like to get out for students in your terms and dealing with, residence life?
Number one, for ones that don't know, we're still working. Obviously, we hope that those students are reaching out to us still if they have questions. We want to help them. Me and my staff are still on campus. I'm on campus twice a week, working from home 3 days a week. We're here to still help you, serve you. If you have applications or questions, please reach out, let us know. I say we're kind of what Craig said, we're full tilt, focusing on fall is going to be normal operations. That's what our plan is right now. We're still hoping that summer school will be open and available once the state opens up stay-at-home restrictions.
Right. A lot of that ties on, of course, to the stay-at-home restrictions. Craig, you also have the recreation center. I imagine you've gotten some calls from people, students like to go to the rec center and work out. People are saying, when's that going to happen? So you're probably waiting to find out what's happening there too.
Yeah, that's more Stephen Benfield's area, but I'm sure he's gotten those calls because we definitely have our regulars in there. I know I've been missing the gym too. It's nice having the office just down the hall so I can use it, but hopefully soon.
So what message? Go ahead, Josh.
I heard people are missing yoga. Is that true?
Yes, my back is definitely missing yoga, Josh.
Right. So those classes that faculty and staff and students are involved in are wanting to come back and working out in the pool and everything else, right? So, Craig, what message would you like to get out to students at this point?
Yeah, I just hope we can all build off of this experience, and once we do get back on campus and where we can interact with each other in a non-virtual way, we can appreciate what Missouri Southern has to offer between the different activities inside and outside of the classroom, and just come out with more respect for our colleagues and other students and everyone else on campus.
We hear a lot of the term the lion family, the family atmosphere at Missouri Southern, people caring about the students caring about everyone. Do both of you see this in your areas as well, that the students, maybe Josh, living together and the residents living, they are kind of a family in their own?
Oh, absolutely. I was communicating with my resident assistants, my student dorm workers. I was missing them. I'm so used to being around them pretty regularly. My student workers, it's odd being in the office by myself, and it's just no movement or life. I mean, that's what attracts me to work at the college is the students. I'm a very gregarious and bubbly individual if you haven't caught on. So for me, this is not fun.
Right. Craig, same thing on the student activity side. We want the students there to work together with them.
Right, absolutely. We can't have activities without the students. I definitely mirror what Josh has to say. Our first virtual CAB meeting with about 15 CAB members, it was, first probably half hour was just kind of spent catching up, talking about everyone's lives and just, showing our appreciation and, that we miss each other because a lot of students just kind of hang out in our office between Greek Life, RSOs, and Campus Activities Board. And so it's just kind of a social hub at points. And I think our students are really missing that socialization.
Right. Well, kind of finalize, you did mention earlier there are ways for people to get in touch with you. So for each of you, if they have questions, they want to know about residence life, how do they reach you, Josh?
There's the normal routes. Email is a great one. There's both my personal one, the residence life at mssu.edu. Our phone lines, like I said, my office phone is still forwarded to me. The residence life direct number is still is going to my resident director office. And social media, we have MSU House, we have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. So we got multiple outlets for students, parents to contact us.
Great. And Craig, how can they reach you if they have questions, want to find out?
Yeah, pretty much same thing Josh had. My email, gullett-c@mssu.edu, and all of our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Just shoot us a message on there and we'll be responsive to it.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank both of you today. And of course, this important aspect is Missouri Southern is still working, even though we're not on campus all the time. There's behind the scenes, things are still going on for the students, for the campus community, and building for the future. So thank you both for joining me today. I appreciate it. And I want to thank the viewers for joining us this week, and we hope to see you again. We'll see you then. Thank you.